Imagine an empire so wealthy that its rulers' generosity disrupted entire economies, a land where gold flowed so abundantly that stories of its riches spread across continents, sparking legends that endure to this day. Yet despite its splendor, this empire would eventually fade into mystery, leaving behind questions as dazzling as its treasures. My name is Charles, and today we'll uncover the secrets of the Mali Empire, home to the richest man who ever lived, and the untold story of how such wealth could vanish. At its height during the Middle Ages, the Mali Empire was one of the most powerful and prosperous civilizations in the world. Stretching across vast swathes of West Africa, it encompassed fertile lands, bustling trade routes, and cities that became jewels of culture and learning. Unlike the crumbling castles of Europe, Mali's strength lay in its resources, most notably gold. Historians estimate that Mali may have supplied nearly half of the world's gold during its golden age. This incredible wealth was embodied by its most famous ruler, Mansa Musa. He wasn't just wealthy, he was unimaginably wealthy. His fortune has been described as so vast that modern economists can't even calculate it in today's terms. But Musa was not only rich, he was a man of vision, and his story reveals both the power and peril of great wealth. Perhaps the most famous episode of his reign was his legendary pilgrimage to Mecca. Mansa Musa did not travel lightly. He brought with him thousands of attendants, soldiers, and servants, as well as camels loaded with gold. As the caravan crossed the Sahara and entered foreign lands, Musa distributed gold so generously that it caused inflation in regions far from Mali. Imagine a king so wealthy that simply giving away his spare change destabilized entire economies. But the real story of this pilgrimage wasn't just Musa's display of wealth. It was how it placed Mali firmly on the world map. Suddenly, distant kingdoms and courts were asking, where was this place of endless riches? European mapmakers began inscribing the figure of a crowned African king holding a golden nugget on their charts, a symbol of Mali's fame. But behind the grandeur, there was more to Mali than gold alone. Its capital cities, such as Timbuktu and Gao, became centers of scholarship and trade. Timbuktu, in particular, housed vast libraries and attracted scholars from across the Islamic world, making Mali not only a powerhouse of wealth, but also a beacon of knowledge. Yet even amid this brilliance, shadows lingered. Great wealth brings great challenges, internal rivalries, shifting trade routes, and the sheer difficulty of maintaining a vast empire across harsh landscapes posed constant threats. While Mansa Musa's reign represented a peak, the empire's stability after him was far less secure. The truth behind Mali's decline is layered with both political intrigue and economic shifts that even gold could not prevent. And here's the fascinating twist. Much of Mali's legacy lies not in glittering treasures unearthed, but in what was lost or hidden. Stories of entire caravans of gold disappearing into the desert, of riches buried in forgotten cities, and of knowledge locked away in manuscripts that survived only by chance, continue to spark debate today. The wealth of Mali wasn't just material. It was cultural, intellectual, and deeply symbolic. But what became of it all? That is where the mystery deepens. Some say the decline of the Mali Empire began with succession disputes. After Mansa Musa's death, his heirs struggled to command the same authority, and rival factions within the royal family weakened the empire's unity. A kingdom built on vast trade networks soon found those very lifelines threatened, as external enemies and shifting routes diverted wealth elsewhere. Gold was abundant, but without strong leadership and stable control, even an empire of treasures could crumble. Another factor was geography itself. The Sahara trade routes that had once been Mali's lifeblood were changing. As new powers rose and oceanic trade routes expanded, the caravans that carried salt, ivory, and gold began to dwindle. With less traffic flowing through its cities, Mali's influence over global commerce began to fade. The once bustling markets of Timbuktu and Gao saw fewer foreign traders, and the empire's brilliance dimmed. Yet the cultural glow of Mali outlived its political power. Timbuktu remained a center of learning for centuries, its manuscripts preserving knowledge in astronomy, medicine, and philosophy. Scholars copied texts with meticulous care, ensuring that while empires might rise and fall, wisdom could endure. Even today, some of these manuscripts are still being uncovered, offering glimpses into Mali's intellectual heritage. And then there's the mystery of the missing gold. Legends persist of hidden hoards lost to time. Stories speak of treasure caravans swallowed by the desert, never to be seen again. Others whisper of secret caches, buried during times of invasion, their locations guarded by silence. Historians debate whether such treasures truly existed, or whether they became myths, symbols of a golden age that seemed too extraordinary to vanish without leaving behind visible riches. What makes the Mali Empire so captivating is this tension between fact and legend. We know it existed, we know it was powerful and wealthy beyond measure, but because so much of its story was passed down through oral traditions and fragmentary records, the details shimmer like a mirage. Was its collapse inevitable, the result of shifting trade and internal strife? Or does its disappearance still conceal secrets waiting to be rediscovered beneath the sands of time? The truth behind Mali's rise and fall may never be fully known, but what is certain is the legacy it left. A reminder that Africa was home to empires as grand, as wealthy, and as influential as any in medieval Europe or Asia. The Mali Empire challenges us to rethink our view of the Middle Ages, not as a world dominated only by knights, castles, and crusades, but as a truly global era where African kings, like Mansa Musa, could shape history itself. So next time you hear the story of the richest man who ever lived, remember that it wasn't just about gold. It was about an empire whose brilliance combined wealth, knowledge, and vision, and about the enduring mystery of how something so dazzling could fade into legend.